Do it.
Okay, hello everyone. We are going to talk about key number 9, that is an adjective, clauses, and reductions. My name is Julissa Aguilar and my classmate is Christian Reyes. So first we are going to start with the typical errors. First we have, do not forget to use a relative pronoun, who, that, and which. For example, the house is at 1672 Fifth Street needs a new roof. The other one, the number 2 is, do not use the ground word to begin relative clause. Do not use wish for people or who for things in relative clause. For example, the boat who was for sale in less than a week, we have to use wish because boat is a thing. And the number 3 is, do not include an unnecessary or extra pronoun in a relative clause if we don't need it. For example, the dancer I told you about is coming to town. And the last error is, do not forget to omit both the subject and the verb be. You can't omit just one of them. For example, the house which we saw in the last week was taken off the market. Then we have the explanation is, first we have to know what is an adjective clause. So we have adjective clause is adjective clause begin with a relative pronoun, which connect them of the words they describe. Relative pronoun includes the words that, where, when, who, whom, whose, which, and why. Once you remember the relative pronouns, it's easy to pick up an adjective clause in a sentence. Then we have how to identify an adjective clause. To identify an adjective clause, first, it will contain a subject and verb. Then we have, it will begin with a relative pronoun, who, whom, whose, that, or which. Then, or relative verb, when, where, or why. And finally, it will function as an adjective, answering the question, what kind? So here we have a chart that how we can reduce the reduced adjective clause. To reduce, to make await the subject plus verb in an adjective. Here we have 2 examples. So first is, Anne is a woman who is crazy about cars. The other way that you can reduce an adjective clause is, Anne is a woman crazy about cars. There are 2 ways that you can reduce subject pronoun, who, which, and that. And now my classmate is going to continue with the other part.
Hello, everyone. So we are going to explain native language interference. Sorry. For example, when Arabic subject topic, it predict the topic is separate in the pronouns directly referred to preceding relative pronouns. That is, refers to. In this, for example, the first example, if you see the top email student who is diligent past it before, and there are some structured chain when you talk about Arabic. First, in the English, as you know, it's the first the subject. In Arabic, no, it changed this. You had to first the noun in this case, and then it the subject. In Italian is verb más clause D infinitive verb, described to believe and thoughts or hopes the ones as example. The people who worked their got a raise the last year. In this case is as English, it's the same structure, but some there are some root chain. For example, the noun chain, in this case the adjective chain, it depends the adjective you use. For example, the adjective in Italian chain, it depends what which adjective you are going to use. For example, in English, as you know, there are some different types of the adjectives we are using in this case. In Italian too. In German, adjective can be three functions. In that sentence, only attributive function declined. declined. Let's see, the three functions, do you know what to different them? There are some functions, the person who wants to sell the car in this case, as my classmate explained, the person is the subject and who is the adjective clause in which. In this case, there are three functions. There are the German, and they are to you had to use what the structure it's about the German, as explained about. There are three function different structure there are. Next, please. Next. Thank you. Activities, adjective clause reductions. For example, there are some reduction adjectives clause to understand that. For example, when activity clause is reduced to an adjective, one word, the adjective is usually placed before the noun. In this case, the person who is positive never forgets. This case, it's the first example you are going to do. Positive person never gives up. If you see there are some structure you can use, for example, the present continuous, past continuous, in all the tenses you can use the adjective clause, and there are some rules you are going to use the adjective clause. It depends on the sentence you are talking. In this case, if you see the third is, for example, the boy was disabled, won the match. In this case, it's past continuous. You can use this in the activity clause. Depends of the context you are using. In the next, reducing adjective clause to present participle phrase. In this case, we can use adjective clause to present the participle phrases for that to happen. In adjective clause must have present participle after to the before of verb. Example, people who are telling you to quit haven't done anything in their life. In this case, it's a present participle. You can use this, for example, the reduce adjective clause. It depends, as I tell you said, it depends on the content you are talking about. And there are some tight on reducing adjective clause to adjective phrases. As I explained about, there are for 7 tight for you are describe how to use adjective. And the next is anyone who unhappy in their life and can talk Dr. Sima about their problems. If you see, this is different. It's talk about the present their lead. In this case, you can use, for example, the modal verbs as well. You can use in this case, for example, anyone who is unhappy and their lead can be talked. In this case, you can use modal verbs. You can use for example, infinitive as well, and gerund as well. Reducing next adjective clause to prepositional phrases, you can use preposition as well. And we can use adjectives as well and prepositional phrases. Then the adjective clause has a prepositional phrase. In this case, please bring your friend who is from China. In this case, is you can use some adjectives and as well preposition. The next, reducing adjective clause to an opposite phrase. We can reduce an adjective clause to a positive phrase when the adjective clause has noun phrases after to, V form of verb. For example, I'm excited to meet. Who is MMA fighter? In this case, you can use, for example, adjectives, for example, emotion, feelings, in this. But as I told you, it's depending on the content you are using. I hope you enjoy this class, and we will continue the next with the next class tomorrow. I hope to enjoy this class and have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you.